So hello everybody, welcome to and welcome back to my channel Book Time with Elvis with me, Mark, and we're back at our normal time and normal day on a Wednesday after our surprise live on Sunday earlier this week. And of course, Randy Ray is with us from the Literate Texan, and our special guest today, none other than Book Chat with Pat. Pat, hello.
Hello everyone.
Welcome, Pat.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, yes. Are you an old hand now at lives, Pat, or have you not done that many?
I've done quite a few. I've been with Greg and Alan a couple of times, and with Dave and Gareth, and I did Elaine's show. So yeah, I've done a couple. So I haven't done one myself yet. I'm just gonna Jack at Spreadbook Joy is gonna help me get set up to do that. But
yeah, it's quite easy, really. Once you get the StreamYard and just the hang of it, it's not too bad. I quite, to be honest, I like the lives more than the making normal videos now. So
do you? Yeah, they're fun. They are fun.
It's easier to have people to bounce off as well than just kind of sitting there talking to yourself in the camera. So
sure. I can see that. I can appreciate that.
So Pat, just for people watching, can you give us a kind of little introduction to your channel and kind of whether you concentrate on particular types of books or if it's just a free-for-all? Let us know.
Sure. So the channel's been going for just a little under 2 years, and I kind of do a little bit of everything. I had I was a high school English teacher for almost 40 years. So one of the things I talk about sometimes are books that I love to teach. But I also kind of got really interested in science fiction when I started watching BookTube. And that was a genre I had like completely missed in my whole life. So I've been reading a lot of science fiction. I read a lot of classics. I read contemporary stuff too. I run a real life in-person book group, and we read a lot of contemporary stuff. So, I do a little bit of everything. I do poetry once a week. I always do a Poetry Thursday episode. I do some book reviews. I do a weekly wrap up of everything that's going on. So I guess it's a real sort of smorgasbord, a little bit of everything.
It's almost like your full-time job though, isn't it, Pat? Because I have to say, every video I click on, there you are in the comments.
Well, that is the beauty of retirement, that I have the time. I don't know how you people do this who are, working, teaching full time. I mean, I never, ever could have done this, as a full-time teacher. I mean, I worked around the clock, and I don't know how you do it. So it does seem like I'm here all the time, but I have the time. So
I think it's a bit different though, I have to say. I mean, from what I hear of teacher colleagues in the US and the UK, yeah, it's much more time consuming over there. I mean, don't get me wrong, we obviously work hard, but we don't have anything like the amount of kind of admin and office work and stuff that you guys would have had. And and a lot of the time, you teach your lessons, and of course you've prepared your lessons, and the longer you've been a teacher, the more lessons you have prepared. So you don't necessarily have to prepare a new one for every single lesson. You just whip out one from last year with a different class, and you can do that kind of thing. So it's not too bad here, I have to say. But yeah, and we don't tend to work too late as well. I mean, the school day starts at 5 to 8 in the morning, and we finish either at 12:30 or 2:30.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very civilized.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I mean,
No, I was going to say, I used to leave my house at 5:45 in the morning to get to school. I taught quite a distance away, but I had a big commute, and I wanted to beat the crazy highway traffic, but I was at school by 6:30 in the morning, and I didn't get home until 6 o'clock at night. So it was a very, very, very long day.
Yeah, no.
There's nothing civilized about those hours.
No, not at all.
No, I mean, when I lived in the town, I used to get up about 4:30, and I would leave at 6, I think, if I remember rightly, to get the bus to here. But now I live in the village where the school is, and I'm I don't know, 1 minute walk from the school. I
Oh,
usually get there. I usually get there about 7. Yeah, and I have about half
that's
an hour.
wonderful though, to be so
Yeah,
close. That's
yeah,
great.
it's not too
That's,
bad. Not too bad. So
yeah.
yeah, and yeah, I mean, I don't have. I mean, Fridays I finish at 12:30.
Uh,
Mondays I have a bit of a strange day where I finish at 12:30, but I have to go back because we run this adult education class. So I go back at like 4:30.
okay.
Again, luckily I live here. If I was living elsewhere, I wouldn't do it. But
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
other days it's 2:30, but it's not too bad. It's things like after school club or art lessons, which are always fun. So yeah.
Aw, aw. I loved last year. You had a lot of footage from your school. I guess it was around Christmas, and
Mhm,
that was
mhm.
really wonderful. I loved seeing that. So,
Yeah, no, it's a nice place, I have to say. I don't think I'd enjoy it as much if I was doing this in the UK. You
really,
know, I don't know. It just seems that things are a bit tougher all around. Kids are probably worse behaved, and teachers have a lot on their plate. So
did you teach in the UK before
no,
moving? Oh
no,
no. Okay.
no, I've done it now. I don't know, 20, 21 years, I think.
Wow.
But I did it in Asia and then here. So
Okay. Okay.
yeah. So
So, what
um,
made you decide to start a BookTube channel, Pat?
You know, when I was first retired, that first year that I was off, I didn't know what to do with myself, and I discovered I didn't even know BookTube was a thing, and I discovered a Angelia at Read and Reread was the first channel I discovered because she was in some other online group that I was in, and that's how I learned about her channel. So I started watching her, not realizing that there was this whole world out there of people doing this, and then I think the next person I found was Michael K. Vaughan, and then the next one was Steve Donahue. But I still didn't know that there were these thousands of people out there doing this. So I would say like a year. I just watched like those 3 people and then a couple people that they would talk about. So, I little by little started, realizing that there were a lot of people doing this. And then at some point, I think I just started watching Greg and Alan's live stream, and I was talking with them in a live stream about how I was thinking of getting started. And they were super supportive, and Angelia was so helpful and so supportive. And I just thought, I'm going to give this a shot, knowing nothing at all about what I was getting into. So, but that's what it was. It was just really from watching people for about a year, and thinking, I want to play too. So
and how has it
And
been?
so
Has it lived up to your expectations or exceeded them?
it has now. I mean, I'm having a lot of fun. I've certainly made a lot of really dear friends, and I've participated in a lot of events. That's really how I guess I've made friends, and that's been really wonderful.
Hmm.
But I'm sure you've heard my horror stories. In the very beginning, I just thought everybody was as nice as the people that I had been interacting with, and I got really badly trolled on the first couple of videos that I made, and I shut the whole thing down because I said I'm not prepared for this. I don't. This isn't what I signed up for, and MJ reached out to me through Voxer and said, let me get you back up and running, and I'm going to show you how you can turn off somebody's comments, or keep certain words off your channel. I mean, people were really mean in the very beginning. Not any of the
wow.
people now, but yeah, some really ugly stuff happened. So that was like really scary, and I thought, wow, you're not, I was very naive. I just came into this very naively, I think. And it's been much better since MJ showed me what to do. But and it's grown, and just I've just made more friends, and feel very supported by people, and I support people. But the beginning was very rocky. very ugly.
Oh, I'm surprised. I'm really surprised to hear that. Actually, that's horrible. Because I know you've grown pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I guess for the time you've been on. But did that happen early on then, or was it something
No,
that happened in the last few months?
That happened, I mean, it did grow quickly in the beginning, but that wasn't really a part of the ugliness. I mean, this
No.
ugliness was the first weekend I was on. I did my newbie tag. That was fine. And then I thought, all right, that wasn't so bad. Now I'm going to do another one. And I did a banned book, a book that I used to teach, and I just talked about it as a banned book. And they came out of the woodwork after me. And
Wow. Which book was it? Can we ask?
it was The Kite Runner by Khalid.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So, and that same weekend, MJ featured me on her, new BookTuber, her Sunday show, as somebody to
Right.
check out. She was doing that with very, very new BookTubers at the time. So people went to look for my channel, and it was gone because I took it down after that happened. So she contacted me privately and said, "What happened?" So I told her. So.
And it was people who were just upset with your opinion of the book, or
Yeah. But it got really, really ugly. I mean, like criticizing my politics. I wasn't talking about my politics. I mean, I don't ever talk about my politics.
Mhm. That's
criticizing
crazy.
criticizing the book, but criticizing my agenda. That I had some liberal agenda that I was trying to ram down people's throats. I mean, it was like, whoa! I'm talking about a book I used to teach that my kids loved. I mean, not everybody loves that book, but I had a good experience with it, and so that was my.
That's weird. Yeah, I mean, I suppose I can understand. You see, the funny thing is, though, well, no, I suppose you had positive experience of the book, so then I can understand some of the things in it people, especially in the current climate, wouldn't like about the book. But still, it's just, I mean, there's so many worse things out there than The Kite Runner. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I mean, it happened again when I talked about Alice Walker's The Color Purple, and that
Great
was
book.
like some very, very right-wing sort of religious fanatics came after me, and that. But then I knew what to do. I mean, by then, MJ had shown me what to do. But it was very eye-opening. So. That's why I always say to people, I think I entered into this very naively, just thinking that it was just BookTube. It's just this fun little community where everybody supports everybody, because that's mostly what it has been. But not.
I don't know. I wouldn't say you were naive, because I think what happened to you is an exceptional circumstance. So I don't think it ever entered Randy's mind or my mind, such a thing, if we started. I mean, okay, I did wonder if I would be bullied for being overweight, kind of thing, maybe.
I worried about that too.
You fat bastard, how dare you like this book? I thought that might happen. Luckily, touch wood, it didn't in my today, though, after I open the door. But that's something that's at the back of one's mind, I suppose, in the same way that maybe other physical things pop out for people and they pick on. But yeah, it's weird to think that they would go, I don't know. It's just sad. It's stupid as well. But I'm glad you obviously, had second thoughts about leaving, and that you were able to deal with these low lives. So
Yeah. I mean, one guy, I actually looked him up, because he was writing under his name, and he was a minister in a church, and I was like, wow, how's that going over? You talk like that from the pulpit. I mean, and other people came to my defense, and kind of took him on, but it was very, very scary. It was very scary that, and again, somebody accusing me of having an agenda that I just don't have. I mean, I don't know. So
we have a few comments, so I'll go to
Sure.
those, because obviously you don't want to dwell too much on the negatives,
right, absolutely.
for you. So literally Leia's here. Hello to you. Summer's here. Salutations, everyone.
Hey, Summer.
That's a good channel name. Michael's Backlog. Hi, everyone.
Hey, Michael.
Literary Layer says, was there a specific book that got you into sci-fi, Pat? It's still hard for me to get into that genre. I have to second Literary Layer here. I'm not a big sci-fi person at all, so I'm also curious your response to that question, Pat.
You know what I did? I watched I was watching Michael K. Vaughan's some of his backlog, and he had a video that he put out some years ago on, I think he called it his vintage science fiction starter kit. So I just copied down his list, and it was just, like big names in the early part of the genre. And I just started reading a lot of the classics. And I think the writer that I really loved, right off the bat was Ray Bradbury. I mean, I knew Bradbury before, but I didn't know, I hadn't read all of his sci-fi. I mean, I had taught Fahrenheit 451, but I hadn't read all of his science fiction stories or novels. And so he was a big one. I read a lot of H.G. Wells. I read the old stuff. I read Clifford D. Simak. I read several of his novels, and I had a lot of fun with those. But I just kind of read my way down Michael's list because it was like a genre that I was completely ignorant of, So
well, Sean Stanfast will be pleased to hear about Clifford D. Simak.
I talked to Sean.
He will indeed.
Yep. Sean has.
Now, I was going to ask, when you talk about discovering science fiction, did you discover science fiction and fantasy, or was it just science fiction and you'd already known about fantasy, or have you not stepped into the realm of fantasy yet so much?
I hadn't really read a lot of fantasy except for, I did read Tolkien, and I read Tolkien as a kid. But I didn't really explore fantasy at all. Even then, all my life. And even when I first got into science fiction, I wasn't really exploring fantasy. I've only recently started dabbling a little bit. So.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Are you participating in our Lord of the Rings read?
I don't know. There, Sean.
Well, you've still got plenty of time to decide.
I'm thinking about it. I had a box set. I had a box set of the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit that my brother gave me when I was 13. And I still had it. I still had and I just a couple of months ago, I gave it to my brother's no longer with us, but I gave it to his son, who is a father himself, and I want him to have it for his kids. So I just passed it on to generations, but I can get copies of that anywhere.
Oh yeah.
You wouldn't want to read such a nice copy anyway, would you? So
right.
Better to probably,
Yeah,
but it's funny. I don't think I do read H.G. Wells, but I never think of it really as science fiction. I don't know why. I mean, I know it is, of course, but what I mean is when I think of science fiction, I'm always thinking about, aliens and, space travel, kind of Star Trek-y stuff. So yeah, that's kind of, yeah. Anyway, got a few comments. Should get through them.
Sure.
Where are we? So Raf Blau Taxt is here.
Hello, Raf.
Hello. Indie author Jill's here. What's up? How's everyone doing today? Booklist Pete is here, a former alumnus of this. What's so fascinating about BookTube is that everyone insists on keeping politics out of it while also judging everyone for their politics. I think that's
that's
truth
true.
in that, maybe.
It is true. It's true.
Glenn's Bookshelf is here. Hello.
Hi, Glenn.
Someone says, wow, Pat, I'm so sorry that you had that experience on BookTube. Raf says, I got called a fat slob once in a comment.
Oh,
that's horrible.
Nasty.
But women get far more hate on BookTube than men. Now, I'm curious, is that from other women? Or is it from men? Or is it unknown? I don't know. Lou's here. Hey, y'all. Gina's here. Gina Stania Books. Hello. Welcome.
Gina.
Hey, Gina.
What have we got here? We've got Raf again. Bradbury's Martian Chronicles are so much fun.
Absolutely.
Did someone say Clifford D. Simak?
There he is. Hello, Sean. I conjured him.
Mm. And Peg, the book prize addict. Great talk about your experiences on BookTube. Thanks for sticking with it. Just joined all of your channels and hope to participate in interesting read-alongs next month. Read on. Well, that's wonderful.
Wonderful.
Nice to hear that, Peg.
Peg is joining us for the John Irving read along in November.
Oh yeah, that's going to be exciting. I'm doing a buddy read of The World According to Garp with my friend Michelle to get ready for the readathon. So,
Nice.
and I've been enjoying the hell out of it. It's just as good the third or fourth time around as it was the first time.
Yeah. I think that was my introduction to John Irving when I was about 18.
It was mine, yeah. It was my first real literature adult book after The Lord of the Rings. And so it's got a, and of course, 12 years old in the small town of Bonham, Texas. You know, I was just like, yeah, almost immediately too. You know, the sex, you know,
Yes,
in it
right there.
starts fairly early. You know, I didn't even understand some of the stuff that was going on in it.
And now you write the book.
Yeah. Every day I write the book, just like Elvis Costello.
H.G. Wells has slipped from sci-fi over the classics event Horizon.
Yeah, probably.
Dina Heil, YouTube's users skew male in general, so hate comments also skew male. Indie author Jill, I haven't experienced any hate or ugliness yet on my BookTube. Well, hopefully you never do, Jill. It would be, you know, we've all had the odd kind of comments. Most of the weird ones I have been usually religious related, like, you know, clean up your act, the end times are nigh kind of comment.
Oh no!
Yeah, or a certain person who obviously won't be watching this as it's on my channel, but definitely a good friend of Randy's, who you've made BookTube when you put them out to pasture. I won't mention any names, but I'll tell you later. Pastor.
Oh, this morning he was explaining to me that Lord of the Rings was child play, and we should be starting with the Silmarillion.
Oh, right. Okay.
And
well, right.
And he is taken to signing off all his comments with "I am the greatest."
Well, good. Bibliophile reads, not Greg, but just normal bibliophile, not another bibliophile.
I think this is.
Hey everyone, I hope you're good. Summer's just read Cider House Rules and loved it. I hope you join Queen Esther read. I've never read John Irving. Maybe I should some point.
Oh, come along.
Oh, you're in for a treat. You've got so much to look forward to.
I just feel I have too much because it's November, right?
Yeah, it is in November.
You have quite a lot on for that. I mean, I'm being forced into a buddy read with Randy as well, so you know I've got a lot to do.
What are you reading?
I'm going to start on Saturday then, Randy. Yeah.
What are you reading?
Yes.
Together?
Other Paths to Glory by Anthony Price.
Okay.
It's one in a series of espionage books. So
I'm going to join. I'm joining you guys for espionage too. I got my little stack of books here.
Oh, awesome! You're going to join in the group read, Quiet American, or are you?
I think so. I have that, and I wanted to read that. And to read The Spy.
So good.
And The Spy.
The Spy Who Came In from the Cold.
Oh yeah, I think there's a mini buddy read going on, a group read. If you speak with like Farah from Bookstalgic and Emily and I think Mike, I think they're all kind of reading. I don't know if they've spoken with each other, but yeah, they all seem to want to read it. Rahab says, well, I had to report a couple of comments for hate speech when they told me to read the Protocols of the Elders of Zion and the likes. Well, there you go then. Yeah, it's a bit dodgy.
Interesting.
Now I have a question before we go on more about your BookTube journey. You mentioned that you like to talk about books that you liked teaching. And I'm curious, what are a couple of examples of books you hated teaching?
You know, people have asked me that, and that's a great question. And people want me to do episodes on those, which I probably will at some point. I didn't really have anything that I hated teaching, but there definitely were books that were harder to teach. You know, like it was easy to teach, you know, to introduce I don't know. I mean, we taught John Irving. We taught A Prayer for Owen Meany. I mean,
Mhm.
it was easy to introduce a book that you kind of know the kids are going to like. You know,
Yeah.
it's another whole thing when you have to teach something that's going to be a struggle. You know, where you have to, really, not fight with them, but it's a harder sell. Nathaniel Hawthorne could be that kind of a writer. The Scarlet Letter was hard to teach, and we actually decided finally at a certain point we were going to teach Hawthorne short stories instead of the Scarlet Letter because the stories were more accessible. The kids could read those. They got it. They got the same message, and figured they can read this later. That would be one. Heart of Darkness was a hard book to teach. That I only taught that in our advanced placement English class, which is like a college level class.
Mhm.
But that was a tough sell. I mean, that's a rough book. It's a little book, but wow, it's so dense and kids resist. So
It's a tough book anyway, though, because I think it's one that's open to misunderstanding so much. Is that people
absolutely.
really jump down the throat of it without actually listening to it,
Right.
and realizing that it is actually more of a critique than anything else. Okay, you have, language that is unfortunately just part and parcel of the time, but his feelings
Yes.
about things very much against what people think that it's about. So
exactly. I don't know if you saw Gavin at Genre Books. He did a video last week or a couple of days ago about books that are awkward to talk
Mhm.
about, and this was part of the Victober.
Mhm.
And he talked about Heart of Darkness,
Mhm.
as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean the language, it's the way certain characters are depicted is problematic, but Conrad's message was against colonialism. He wasn't saying this is the way to go. So
I'm curious though, because I get the feeling that the books you mentioned are hard to teach, but you like them.
yeah.
Whereas I'm wondering if there were any books you had to teach, but actually you hated the book.
I did not.
No. Oh, that's lucky. Did you have any input into the
A lot.
curriculum? Okay, well there you
A
go
lot.
then.
And I've talked about that in sometimes when I talk about these books, that I taught. I mean, for the last 25 years of my career, I was the head of the English department.
Oh well, okay, right. Mhm.
But I also taught full time. I taught 5 courses a day. But we also worked really, really closely with just a delightful and brilliant curriculum director. So we revised every course continually, and on a 5-year cycle we would review like the whole curriculum. So when stuff wasn't working, we could say, let's throw this out, and this is what I really like to teach, and we would talk about it amongst ourselves, and we always got the thumbs up. I mean, we didn't, we had an administration that was supportive and curriculum director that was supportive, so we had a lot of input. So I was never really handed anything to teach where I thought, oh God, I hate this book. It's so.
Now you kind of maybe already answered it, but I promise, Randy, it's my last question on this line. But did you have a book that you really, really, really wanted to teach, but never succeeded in actually pushing it onto the curriculum?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because for me, if I was head of English, would be reading Three Men in a Boat, and probably that's it. Class dismissed.
I mean, we never proposed anything that they said no to. I can't think of anything that got rejected. I mean, since I've left, I've thought about things that I would like to add.
That was going to be my next question. Yeah. Have you read anything since you've been on BookTube and since you've left that you thought, actually, this would have been awesome?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, I would have found a way, now that I'm enlightened, about fantasy a little bit and science fiction a lot more. Those books are really accessible, and kids do tend to like that kind of stuff. And I think I definitely would have liked to have taught, if not just infused some science fiction into the regular curriculum, at least proposed an elective, because we did that. I mean, I had a young man in the department who did an elective on the graphic novel, and he got to do really fun stuff in that class. So
Oh, it is
that's
fun.
yeah, and I would love to have been able to do something with science fiction and or fantasy.
Well, they're so important, though, aren't they, for readers? It's such a huge chunk that you almost can't ignore it. I try my best to ignore them, but it doesn't really work. They're just everywhere, and everybody ends up reading some. But no, it's very interesting. And I guess one last question on this is that obviously have you felt that you've learned anything from BookTube in the sense of that maybe there was some book that you saw differently after you watched somebody else review it on this kind of medium, or made you think twice about something that maybe before you'd been like, oh, I'm not so sure. Oh, that's an interesting way of looking at it. Or you don't have to give me an example because it might be hard, but just whether or not the situation happened, I guess. So.
Well, sure. Because I have a lot. I mean, people seem to be interested in what I taught, what I didn't teach. And so I have had a lot of conversations about that. But I think, if anything, my view has just opened up about what we should be teaching, because you want kids to read. That's the most important thing. You're not cultivating necessarily English majors, in the 9th grade. You want kids to read. And we were leaning that way anyway, going to more kid-friendly, summer reading lists, and we would consult the kids and get their input. So now, I mean, I feel like I've gotten, a huge amount of input since I've been here on BookTube. But I'm not teaching anymore.
We have a few more comments, so just go to those, and then we can talk a bit more about the BookTube stuff. Hannah's here, or maybe she's not anymore because she was popping in for a second.
Hi, Hannah.
She says hi. Great to see you all. I remember loving Rappuccini's Daughter when I was young. And Raf says, I really appreciated Heart of Darkness, but read it as an adult. The Great Literary Rabbit Hole, is here. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Literary Lair says, did you ever teach a book that was later considered controversial? Well, probably half of them are considered controversial now, eh? But
yeah, I mean, where I was teaching, it's not a place where books were getting challenged very often. We're not one of those states, that's banning books like crazy. But not with a book. Unfortunately, I don't. I'd love to teach literature, but I'm teaching English language, right? Because obviously I'm here. But at the end of term, I think it was the end of the summer term, the kids in 3rd grade, 4th grade wanted to watch Harry Potter, and I put it on, and because it was the age limit was appropriate. Absolutely.
And then I found out because one girl just sat there like this, like the whole time going. And I thought that's really weird. She hasn't moved. She's been captivated by it. No. And then I found out she's not actually meant to watch it. Her family believed that it's evil and it's got witchcraft in it. So I was like, oh my god, I'm going to get calls from the parents and all this kind of stuff. But luckily, it didn't happen.
It didn't happen. Wow.
No. So whether she said anything or not, but I was surprised when my colleague said, "You did what?" I was like, yeah, well, I don't know. She didn't say anything. If she wasn't allowed, she should have told me. I'm not meant to know.
Yeah, really. Oh my gosh.
At age 15, I did a book presentation in English class on The Clockwork Orange. I'm glad my teacher allowed that, but it sure was a very risky decision on their part.
I used to teach that. I taught that in a contemporary fiction class, and kids always wanted to read that because they had an idea about it that was different from the reality of actually reading. It's a lot harder to read than what they think it's going to be. But I did do that in this contemporary novel course that we used to teach. But
well, because Kubrick he self-banned the film in the UK. I don't think he did in the US, but he did in
No.
the UK.
Yeah.
And I remember we got hold of a bootleg copy, and of course we were so excited, thinking, "Oh my gosh, look at us! We're such rebels." And it was just, nothing like we expected. We were like,
Yeah.
okay, all right, because we didn't have any kind of knowledge leading up to it or anything. I don't think any of us had read the book. We just wanted to watch it because it was banned. I appreciate it more later once I'd read the book, but it's a funny one.
Yeah.
Michelle's here. Hi there. And when Harry Potter is deemed controversial for all the wrong reasons. Yeah, exactly right. Exactly.
It's true. Very true.
So we mentioned your fairly rapid channel growth. Is it hard work keeping up with all the comments and all the
not keeping up with the comments? That's not hard. I mean, I do that usually, early in the morning. If I've posted a video, I usually post at midnight my time. So when I get up early in the morning, I will see, the first round of comments, and I answer comments before I get on with my day, before I go to the gym. And I love that. That's kind of like become part of my early morning routine. The hard part is just keeping up with making content. It's like the channel has grown and I have to keep, I can't really step away right now. I'm trying to post a bunch of things every week. And, but, like I said, I have time. I could not have done this when I was teaching full time.
I was going to ask this earlier. Mark had mentioned that, you seem to be omnipresent on BookTube.
I hope not
no matter what channel I'm watching.
Not a bad thing.
No, it's a wonderful thing. But yeah, no matter what channel we're watching, people are talking about Book Chat with Pat. You just seem to be everywhere, which is wonderful. But I was wondering, you're retired, so you have presumably nothing else to do with your time but BookTube. That's sort of my life too. But how many hours a week do you spend on BookTube, would you estimate? Is it a full-time job, basically, in terms of time spent?
It's not a full-time job, but I do spend a lot of time. I mean, I haven't learned how to wing it, and I don't think I ever will, because it's just not, you are who you are, so
right.
I can't help my personality, so I prepare. I do. I mean, first of all, you have to read this stuff, right? We have to
sure
to talk about.
So you work from a script?
I make notes.
Okay.
I make notes before, and I know you do too. So I have notes for every video, because I do it kind of like the way I taught, I guess. Like I wouldn't walk into a classroom and say, well, what are we going to do today? It's like I always it's my sort of overachiever personality, I guess, but it has filled, I mean, I was running a department and teaching 5 classes a day, and I was always going to school too. And then all of a sudden I had nothing to do, so it was kind of like,
right.
This is going to kill me, so it's been life-giving, to have something to sort of throw myself into that is something where, I mean, I do know literature. I do have something that I can bring to the, to the table. But I've loved
something valuable.
I participate in, I keep telling myself I'm going to participate in less. I'm going to cut back, but then people talk about these events, and I am like a little kid, like I want
to be part of it all.
I do. So, I mean, I'm really trying in the new year to be a little more circumspect, a little more judicious in the decisions that I make, instead of just saying yes right off the bat and then realizing I can't do this. There are just so many hours in the day, and I don't read fast. I think I'm a very
I don't either
kind of reader, so.
Well, I have become friends with Better Than Food, Clifford Lee Sargent. I don't know if you've ever watched his channel or not, but everybody's got their own way of running a BookTube channel, and he kind of flies in the face of the adage that nobody watches book reviews, because that's all he does are book reviews. nothing else on his channel but book reviews. But we were talking one day, and he told me, he said, I could never do what you do on BookTube. And I said, what's that? And he said, man, you're extemporaneous. He said, I work from a full script on every single word I say is scripted. And I can't imagine working from a full script. I'm like you, I work from notes.
Yeah.
But it's always interesting to me to see how many different ways there are of participating in the community and being a booktuber, whether you want to make money from it or not. What kind of books do you want to read, and what kind of content? At the end of the day, you should be making the kind of content that you enjoy making.
Right.
And for me personally, I really enjoy getting positive feedback in the comments. So I try to pay attention to what content I make is popular. And, apparently most of my viewers really like lists.
Well, lists are very popular. I mean, they do,
Yeah.
they do well as
Well, they're
video.
useful too.
They are.
But yeah, I had somebody in the comments mention that the other day. Said, "Oh man, my day isn't complete until I've watched a list from Randy."
But it's really true. I did that video. I forget. It wasn't really a tag, but it was the tops and flops, where you were supposed to look at your 5 videos that have done the best and your 5 videos
Right.
that have done the worst. And all of my best videos were list kind of videos, and my worst, all 5 were my poetry videos, which I do every week.
Oh, yeah.
Do it every week. But I have loyal followers who watch those, and so I'm engaged in a conversation with those people. So I keep doing it. I don't care if they get, way less than the lists. I mean, it's
nice, those kind of things though, because I was the same. Like my flops were all read alouds, where I was part of reading the book aloud.
And I love read aloud. So that's one of my favorite
They
things.
always, and I've noticed it on other people's channels too. Like they start off well, but I guess people don't stick with it generally, and I can understand why. I mean, maybe they got, they come back to it maybe months later or whatever. I don't know, but yeah, I do understand why they don't do as well as everything else. But like you, I also work off notes for some videos because I have to. Just I can't remember. I can't remember exactly.
I can't remember anything. I mean, it's a lot.
But I usually just have it on. I have the screen split, so I have my notes on one side of the computer, so it doesn't look too obvious at times. But I couldn't read a script though. That wouldn't work for me.
Yeah. Wow.
Just the opposite of me. I'm waving around a notebook with my notes in it, and my vision is bad, so I use Sharpies. And so my notes are really big, they take up 2 or 3 lines, and they're big and black. And I didn't realize it till the other day, but you can actually read my notes on screen when I hold my notebook up. I had somebody the other day mention that they were talking about something having to do with the video, but they were telling me they could literally read my notes.
Oh, that's
must be very awkward when you have like "I hate Steve Donahue" written 100 times across your notebook. And speaking of the devil, my classrooms always had a very annoying pants mandatory policy. Thankfully, BookTube has more open mind. We do have quite a few comments, so I do have to try and catch up, I suppose.
Sure. Great.
Just to be clear, I still really like A Clockwork Orange, but 15 is pretty young, I would say so. And with English as a second language, it was a bit of a challenge for sure.
Sure. Oh my gosh.
So how do you get kids to read ancient and classic lit? And do you think it's necessary?
Yes, I do. I do think it's necessary.
Tie them down. Prise their eyeballs open with toothpicks.
The stories are timeless. They might be ancient works, but the themes and the messages are timeless. So you have to make it relevant to their lives today. But yes, I think we need to keep reading the classics. And with Shakespeare, get them up on their feet, get them acting, get them, them in. So.
Shakespeare is the best.
Yep.
And, it's so unfortunate that so many teachers aren't great at teaching Shakespeare.
I know.
And one of the arguments that I've seen for teaching Shakespeare too is that, confusion is a prelude to understanding. You know, whenever you're learning something at first, you're supposed to be confused by it. So even though in high school, you probably don't have the maturity level to understand some of the things that are going on in Hamlet, certainly not in King Lear, you know, those are things that you will understand later in life. If you get into the habit of understanding, some things are going to be confusing at first, but become clear later.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's true.
It happened to me with the Canterbury Tales. I remember in the summer
Oh,
holiday, we were given the prologue, you know, because they split them all up into individual books when you study them, and we were given it, and we were told to read it over the summer, and that's all we knew about it. Was, of course, most of us, as the teachers knew, left it to like the last couple of days. We're sitting down, it's like, what's going on here? You know, we're only 16 and stuff. So it's like, what is this? What's going on? And then, of course, yeah, all became very clear, and we had some wonderful teachers who did amazing work with it and just made it all come alive. It was fantastic.
That's wonderful.
I was very lucky, especially in boarding school with my English teachers. You know, some of them were certifiably insane, but in the best way possible. You know, so
yep, that's great.
It's great that Pat is everywhere. I was actually wondering, yeah, do you sometimes get like a student stumble across your channel and say, "Oh, you know, Miss Pat, do you remember me?"
Absolutely do.
You
I do.
Oh,
I mean, they
awesome.
show up in my comments. One of my students, one of my former students, has started his own channel.
Oh, super.
Yeah. And
that's wonderful.
I said to him, "Do you want me to share it, you know, to tell people?" And he's like, no, not yet. You know, he said, let me see if I'm going to stick with it, you know. So he's made a couple of videos. He's delightful. We talk about books all the time.
His name's Steve Donahue, I take
it. It's Steve Donahue. Yeah.
He's only 28, so.
That's right. He is. That's so funny.
The frustrating part is that at some point, the social interactions and networking take up far more effort than the actual reading, at least for me. I think there's sometimes elements of that. Greg's here. Hello, sorry I'm late.
Hello, Greg. Greg was one of the people who encouraged me early on before I even started.
Where are we? I'll come back to that question. I just want to go through ones of the comments first. Some work from script, some work from notes. I work from Arrange. I wish I was more organized, but I don't always grab my stack of books and wing it. But I always grab my stack of books and wing it. I feel that just doing what does... Sorry, I can't seem to read today. I feel that just doing what does good numbers is not sustainable in the long run. It eats your soul.
Yeah, you're right.
I did a live stream to unbox 100 self-published books. Only 2 people showed up. My niece asked, what do we do if 0 showed up? I said, we'll unbox books and goof offline. Yeah, well, that's the thing. It doesn't really matter in the end. And that video is always there, and people will, as more people find your channel, they will go back and watch these things. So you get kids to read classics in the same way you get them to do anything. You make them want to.
Yep.
Randy, you mentioned Shakespeare in high school. I'm wondering, from all of you, is it possible and have any of you started teaching classics in grade school?
I never taught grade school.
Hi, Steve. Also addressing the question to you as well. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. And then I'll go back to the question we had here, which I think I probably can guess the answer because it's going to be similar for me. Pat, how much do you think your work as a teacher has helped with doing BookTube, public speaking, and explaining our key skills after all?
Yeah, I think it's helped me tremendously, you know, and people say that I remind them of an English teacher they had in high school. You know, I mean, I definitely, the way I prepare comes from my long teaching career. Certainly it's helped a lot. I mean, I'm used to presenting, you know, to a class, you know. Certainly when you're working with kids, you're not just standing in front of kids talking, and you're not talking to yourself. You know, hopefully you're working on interaction. But no, there's no question that I am deeply influenced by my teaching career.
Have you ever thought or contemplated actually teaching a book on your channel? for people, or is it like you're just kind of done with it now?
I don't know. I haven't really thought of it myself. People have asked me about it, or kind of sort of trying to get me to do it. I don't know. What do you think? I mean, do you think I could?
You totally should. I mean, if you look at those bigger ones, you look at, I think these ones that run courses. I mean, it's not, obviously you don't have to do that, but there's a demand for it. There's a market for it, and I would much rather learn about the classics from someone like you than someone who's 20 years younger than me, and there's no way they really understand anything that they're talking about. But they make thousands of dollars off it. But I'm not mentioning any names, of course, because I don't want to get in trouble. But yeah,
right.
I think that, and also I think one of the big things is for a lot of people on BookTube, they came back to reading later. They probably had some kind of break, and I think they would appreciate the guidance through a particular work now more than they would have done when they were at school. So I think there'll definitely be a market for it, or an audience for it, for sure.
Yeah. Well,
you should just do a poll.
That's where I just
do a poll of like 5 books and go with it.
It's a good idea. It is a good idea. I don't know what my hesitation is.
Well, I mean, if you didn't, you could probably even charge for it. Yeah, I mean, you could do a Patreon. You could do it, and then you don't have to worry about horrible people coming in and disrupting you.
That's true.
Run it like this, and people who want to do it would pay for it. Or at least pay to see the content and stuff like that. Because I don't know. I think it's one of those things. I find it fascinating now watching some of these literary talks from universities online or from schools, whereas when I was at school I did like it, but I seem much more interested in it now. So well, there you go. Steve's weighed in.
What's Steve have to say here?
Every booktuber should do a series of videos teaching their favorite books.
No, I agree. Well, and we were talking about how different people do BookTube differently, and different people monetize differently. One of my favorite channels is, and I'll get eggs thrown at me for this, but I love Ben McAvoy's channel. He might publish 12 videos a year on YouTube, but if you subscribe to his Patreon, you'll find 625 videos in there, most of which are almost an hour long, with university class or university level lectures on the great books.
Wow.
He calls it the Hardcore Literature Book Club, but he charges enough for his membership that he's got to be making a good living from it, because the comments are just very, very busy. But I think he charges $25 a month for the Patreon level that gets you the access to the archives. But
what's his background?
You could do that.
What's his background? Has he got 30 years of university lecturing behind him, or 35 years?
He's got a degree from Oxford, according to his site. His channel originally started with helping people get into Oxford. How to pass the interview, how to do well on the test, and that sort of thing. And then gradually he started, teaching the classics. And I don't always agree with all of his approaches to the material or his conclusions, but it's an interesting model for how to run a YouTube channel, especially if you want to teach online.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. I would attend book chat, a book chat.
Aww.
A book
Thank
chat with
you,
Pat
Greg.
Gaskell.
I would too. You could teach a John Irving novel or Steinbeck.
I mean, you could do a practice run with some of your closer people. If you do a buddy read or a small group read, and just do a practice run and see how it goes. But what exactly would teaching on BookTube be? Having a detailed review and discussion of a book is already teaching. After all, there's no test and no certificate. Is there? Well, there could be. There could be certificates signed by Steve Donahue.
Absolutely.
As the principal of BookTube University. So all 3 of your channels are an inspiration for me. I'm a very new channel, but I have been watching BookTube for years. Well, please, people watching, go and check out Bibliophile.
Yes, it is. He's terrific.
She, I think, actually, this one, because it's not.
Oh,
Because there's Greg, another bibliophile reads, and then there's bibliophile reads.
bibliophile reads.
Yeah. So Ralph says qualification and authority are a big deal on YouTube in that they don't necessarily go together. He's teaching while he writes a play. I don't know. Is that McAvoy? I'm not sure. Who
I don't know.
Imagine if each one of us actually taught our favorite books. Imagine Pat doing 10 videos on Catcher in the Rye, or Kevin Tal taking us through the Reacher novels, or Hannah on Eudora Welty. Yeah. Well, there you go. You see. Yeah, and Randy on what? Well, we
Larry
know
McMurtry.
Sam Fast could be on Clifford D. Simak, of course. So.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I started a series called Sunday School on ways of reading fantasy through books by Guy Garavel Kay. So, yeah.
Well, interesting to think
about.
Definitely.
Steve had once talked about getting someone had suggested this to Steve, had suggested to him that he get one of the Norton anthologies and just go through it page by page. You know, which is an attractive model to me. I've been intrigued by that because, you know, most of my classes, my survey classes in college, you know, they picked and chose what you read. But the best survey literature survey class I had, we literally just read the Norton anthology from cover to cover. Yeah, and you know that seems overwhelming, like it's too much, but it's really not that much if you parcel it out day by day. It's like eating an elephant, so to speak. But I always thought, you know, I would tune in to watch Steve take us through one of the Norton anthologies. I would tune in to watch me take us through one of the Norton anthologies too, for that matter.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit about doing the short story anthology, the Norton anthology of short stories.
I've got the Norton anthology of short.
See, my ambition is to get a BookTube play produced, like an old radio play, so we can all read it. We don't have to learn our lines. We can just have our scripts. We could do, I don't know, the importance of being earnest or something. I've always wanted to be Lady Bracknell. I've got
the importance of being Randy.
You know, I've got it all down, and I'm ready to go. You see, so we need to do that. I think it would be great fun to do that, or even get an old radio script of I don't know, Sherlock Holmes or Panto or something.
I would love that. That would be so much fun.
All right, well, I'll look into it then. Could be fun. Get some people on board.
Yeah.
What would Steve's video series be? Meg.
Meg.
I would be glad to do Ancient Rome, Horace, Catullus, Livy, Caesar, Tacitus, Pliny.
Wow.
My oldest friends outside the King James version. Yeah. So no, it could be fun. I think that would be kind of fun. Get someone to direct it and do it like a radio show. It'd be kind of fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Treasure Island. No, sorry.
Definitely. Let's think about for Christmas. That would be fun.
Yeah, it would. It would. I think it'd be very jolly nice, actually. Yeah, because I did do a read aloud with some people Christmas Carol, which was good. I got like Kate Howe and Michael K. Vaughan and Jack the Running Raccoon and Roz from Scallydang about the books, and we all read one piece each, and it was fun.
Wonderful.
A play would be a great holiday project.
Yes.
It would. And we could do it live. That's the best thing. We can actually do it live. Yes. You know. There's a radio script to the Maltese Falcon. Oh, there you go.
Cool.
Let's get Greg to practice his Humphrey Bogart there. Yes, a play.
Okay, it's done. It's decided. We're going to do it. That would be so much fun.
Yeah, I think it would actually. I'll have a look which ones we can do. Because it's wonderful, because you don't have to pay anyone to do it, right? Because of course there's no rights on it.
Right.
So you know, it would be fun. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, here we go. If we did a multi-part YouTube play of A Christmas Carol, how would we cast it? Randy would have to be the ghost of Christmas Present. So, well, I was
Cool. I like that idea.
cast in the play of A Christmas Carol as young Scrooge. So,
Oh, really? Oh.
yeah, I was sitting there in the classroom all alone while all the classmates were out there playing. Yeah, so.
Oh, that would. Oh.
It was fun, and I had what's it called? That horrible cough. Is it croup or something like that?
Oh, yeah.
While it was on, so I was sitting there. I was trying not to,
Oh. Mark,
Yeah.
it's funny. You said before that you wanted to be Lady Bracknell. I read. I reread The Importance of Being Endless Drama Read Along, and we were doing that for Victober. And I found a production online on YouTube with, what's the
Edith
actor's name?
Evans?
British actor.
Oh man,
A man who played Lady Bracknell. Brilliant. It's just, I'll send it to you.
well, Edith Evans is the best one though.
But this, when he what's his name? Is it Brian?
Not Blessed,
Not
surely.
Branford.
No.
Walks out on stage for the first time because it was a recording of a live production. That crowd went nuts. I mean, it was brilliant. It was really, really good. But I like the idea of a Christmas idea too, a Christmas story.
We should cast our happiest, most upbeat booktuber as old Scrooge. Imagine Elliot books I'm not reading for the part.
Aww.
Yeah. No, it could be good. I think Sean would be quite a good Scrooge, though. Sorry, Sean, if you're still watching, but I could see that.
Everybody's going to want the same parts. Everybody's going to be the same parts.
Yeah. Behind the scene, the directing, and then I wouldn't mind Jacob Marley or something. I could fancy that.
Oh yeah.
So. Well, we've reached the top of the hour now. Unfortunately, we are generally constricted to time, not like some other of our good friends on here who can go on for hours and hours.
Yes.
But I do have to take Elvis out, unfortunately. So and it's getting dark. So, and obviously, Pat, you've got to probably, if you need to leave again,
Yeah, really. But thank you so much for having me. This was
thank
really,
you for joining. And of
like
course, it goes out saying if you're not subscribed to Pat's channel, do head over there and subscribe. And the same, of course, with Randy as well. Are you a big enough booktuber to be Scrooge? I think anyone can audition. Doesn't matter, Jill. Doesn't matter how big you are. Just everyone can audition. All right. Well, thank you so much, Pat. Thank you, Randy. Thank you, everybody, for watching and commenting.
you.
And yes, we'll see you, I guess, probably next week, right, Randy?
Yes, next week we've got Joe coming on.
Oh, nice. And also on Sunday.
Oh,
And Sunday, Randy,
that's right.
you have your
Cinephile Sunday is this Sunday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Me and James Ricala from Quaint and Curious Volumes will be discussing the Maltese Falcon.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful.
The one that starred Frank Sinatra, the original.
Excellent.
Great performance from Angela Lansbury in that movie, too.
Love her. Oh.
Wonderful. All right. Thanks.
All right.
Do take care. Cheers.